Welcome to one of our next Brandmind podcasts. Today we are going to discuss how the subconsciousness works, and I would like to give you directly an example. Take a piece of meat that is framed in the communication differently. One time it is framed like 99% fat-free, and on the other half would be 1% fat. Now, what do you think, which of the communication attracts people? It is the first one, 99% fat-free. Why? Because there is a bias in that, and on the one hand, and on the second, everything that sounds big attracts people. So 99% attracts people, and 1%, the association is very low. And nobody sees that it is the exact same information. So 99% fat-free and 1% fat is logically, from logical perspective, the exact same information. And people tend to not just one or two, the majority goes into that direction. So that means that there's a bias. And the reason for all of this is that people act irrationally. So when we were younger, we were taught in university and whatever, the homo economicus, which is always deciding rationally. This is not existing. So based on information overload, time constraints, etc., people are not able to really understand everything in depth and to make a solid decision in everyday life for each and every product. This is not possible. So what people do, they have thumb rules. So based on thumb rules, they go and make decisions. And those thumb rules are often bad decisions. So that's actually one aspect of the subconsciousness. And this is directly linked to the fact that people in general decide to 95% unconsciously. So every decision, every route to a decision is or lies in the subconsciousness. So everything that we perceive in daily life, what we see, what we hear, what we touch, feel, smell, these are things that we perceive, and it's going directly into the limbic system in our brain. The limbic system is the power center of the subconsciousness. And just to give you an example, so 11 million bits per second, this is what this limbic system or the autopilot is processing. Now, the ratio in our brain processes 40 bits. This is 3 sentences. That's why it takes so much effort for us to think. People try to avoid to think. That's why they use those thumb rules when they decide something in their daily life. For example, supermarket. When people are going into the supermarket, nobody's thinking. So based on your experiences and based on what you have bought in the past, you go and shop in the grocery store. So you are not thinking. So this is the best place for not thinking. And that's like one of the main source of why people act irrationally, why they decide subconsciously. And the third aspect that is very new from science is that people also have unconscious preferences in products and advertisements, or everything that they perceive through their senses. So that means that not everybody likes the same advertisement or the same product. And marketeers need to understand all these 3 areas. So one area is coming from behavioral psychology. The other one is coming from brain research. Okay, so how is the brain working? The limbic system is like the power center of decision making. And the third one is coming from psychology itself, which is personality psychology, motivational psychology, and the link to sensoric elements, which is neuromarketing, again, brain research. So these are the three aspects how subconsciousness works. And if you don't have that in place, or the knowledge, and you don't integrate it while you're doing your communication, then you might have a great creative campaign, but it doesn't fit either to the target group that you're targeting at the moment, the message, right? Because, different advertisements attract different people. And on the other hand, you need to implement certain interventions to help users to not get irritated and not to get into this irrational behavior and stopping within a process or buying something that would be not of benefit for them. So these are the aspects and how you need to take care of this. Let's take some examples of how the subconsciousness works. Number 1, loss aversion. Loss aversion means that people would like to stay with what they know instead of trying new things out, or even taking an approach into a certain direction, even if they would win 100% something logically, but they tend to stay where they are because they are afraid of losing what they have. So, and this can lead to a bad decision. So whenever you have an opportunity to grow or to be better, to perform better, or that you might win something, you lose that opportunity because you stay where you are. So this is in the end a bad decision because you lose maybe better KPIs, better performance, whatever it might be, but you stay where you are. You don't have growth. So this is one example. The other example is that people tend to value what they possess higher in comparison to things that they don't possess. So, and this leads oftentimes to a challenge when people, for example, have a house and they want to sell it, okay? And they go into the market really with enthusiasm, and they say, okay, it has a value of $1 million or 2 or 3 million or 10 million, whatever that emotion is. And they realize very quickly that this is not the market price. And it can be that due to 10 years that have passed by, right, a lot of things happened, that a street or an autobahn is close to, and it reduced the value of the house. There are many things how the market could change, but they think that it has a very high value. So, and then they are very, very disappointed when they need to let go of the house for the half of it, for example. And why is this? This is called the endowment effect. Because people have an emotional bond to what they possess. And based on that emotional bond, they put much higher value into things. So this is an irrational behavior. And the third example that I would like to highlight here is social proof. And this is extremely tricky. So social proof means that, take Google reviews, TripAdvisor, whatever. So it's extremely tricky because people tend to trust if a majority of people before have tried something out. So the idea is, if others are saying this or that, if others have done this or this, it must be good. Well, but it's not the case. It's not always like this. It's the same thing with, we are used to some models, right? And many, many companies are using this model. It has to be good. It's famous. It has to be good. because many use this, but it's not. So people don't take the next step to really challenge the status quo. Challenging the status quo can lead to a much better decision for yourself. It can be a good decision for everybody else, but not for you. So this is then the example of social proof. And then there's another example of, information overload. So what is possible is that when you have, as a marketeer, depending on how you frame your campaign, you can integrate information that is totally irrelevant, but it has an impact on people, because people tend to value more information higher than less information, even if it is irrelevant. So it can lead to a purchase if you integrate more information about a specific product that is maybe irrelevant, but the recipient values it higher. So this is another example of how subconsciousness works from behavioral psychology. Now, when we go into the different psychological types, I give you a concrete example. Let's take stimulants-oriented people. Stimulants-oriented people, they love adventure, trying new things out, being rebellious, and innovation. So everything that's new, that's exciting. This is what triggers them. Now you have, for example, the concrete opposite, safety-oriented people. Safety-oriented people play it safe. So they don't like something new, and they would never risk something. Okay, so you could never go with them into the jungle, right? Not possible. But stimulants-oriented people, they would do that. Now, when you have a communication, when you have this example, you cannot go with a really playful, adventurous campaign and innovative product to safety people, right? You would overwhelm them, and they would really run away, and you would never catch them through this marketing campaign. So the other way around as well. So an advertisement for safety-oriented people would be, it's a guarantee here if you do this and this, and it's 100% safe. So this is the wording that goes into the safety-oriented people with a specific picture on it. You cannot go to the stimulants-oriented people with this. You can, but there's no impact. So, and this is another example of when you communicate something, you need to know who is your psychological target group. Otherwise, and it needs to be linked directly to the communication. Otherwise, the communication is like really for the trash. And sometimes you produce millions, you put millions into a brand campaign, and then it's for the trash, and nobody knows this. So that's why it is so important to understand the subconsciousness of people and to integrate that into your planning, design of the marketing campaigns. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you, and I hope you enjoyed all these examples, and see you next week.